I don't know if we have too much to talk about, but we may have a special guest. And so let's get into it. All right, guys, it's week 3, and we already have a comment.
Of course.
What do you say? What do you say to this, AJ?
All right. You know what? Let me get this out of the way. I got smacked by Judah Buddha, okay, in the Roto Hackers Listener League last week, and I had stuff going on. I'm not dodging it, Thomas H. I'm not dodging the inevitable here. But yeah, I'm sorry, Jared. The Ice Ring Falcons couldn't pull it out this week. It was a mess. It was a mess. Adams and Thielen just did nothing. It was just an all around. Yeah, we just got smacked. I can't really put it any other way.
Well, you know, we sometimes talk Marvel on here, and you're even repping a piece of Marvel,
of course,
of the MCU there.
Yeah.
So in true Marvel fashion, I have the chance to avenge you this week against Judah Buddha.
All right, perfect.
Also like how we all coordinated black shirts today too.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right. Well, I was going to say that it does not look good so far. Having
James Robinson.
Yeah, James Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh man. He had what, like 30 something points?
20
yards, I think.
27.9. Yeah. Yeah, he's looking good. But I mean, I'll need it because I mean, our game this week, you know, you'll go into Monday night still having Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram in a shootout against the Chiefs. So like I could have a 70-point lead going into that and still not feel completely safe because I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility for Lamar to like throw down 45 and, you know, Jackson come in with 25. So, or Ingram.
I mean, this year's crazy though, man. It could also, I mean, obviously the possibility of Lamar just having 20, you know, and Ingram not having any is a real possibility. So we'll see.
Yeah. And that's why we've talked before about like the danger of taking quarterbacks early because you just don't know. I mean, there's a danger of taking any player early, but quarterbacks especially, you know, can swing more wildly, I think, year to year.
Can we talk? Yeah. Well, I'll say though that my leagues that have Lamar and Mahomes are so much. I feel so much more confident about because, I mean, didn't you said you played Minshew in a couple places, right?
Yeah, I played early on. I took Minshew in a lot of my $20 leagues. Fortunately, not my bigger money leagues. Well, no. I didn't take him. I had Breeze, and I would take somebody else. I like Breeze and somebody else. And so I thought like, okay, Breeze is pretty reliable for the home games. Now, you know, the way they looked, especially without Michael Thomas, if Michael Thomas had been playing, maybe I would have still done it. But so I didn't feel good about those. And I thought like, oh, Minshew's got a pretty, easy schedule early on. And even all like, Matthew Berry was hyping him up. And I saw where Matthew Berry put out a tweet just saying like, yeah, I take the L on this. I started him in some leagues and he burned me too. So I don't know that I'll try that Minshew experiment again because Jacksonville just doesn't run a ton of plays. But the other thing is like for me, fortunately in my like bigger money leagues, I was not as conservative at quarterback. And so I took a lot of like either Kyler or Dak. And so those I feel really good about because
I've got some Dak too.
Yeah. Because I mean, I still got those at, in auctions for $8 to $10 a lot of times, as opposed to like 28 to 30 for or more for Mahomes or Jackson or something. So I feel good about those because I still have a pretty, well-rounded team. But, I think those guys, this year, it won't surprise me if Russ or Dak or Kyler finish as the top quarterback, or if they even finish like 1, 2, 3 and Mahomes are like 4, 5. I think they're all going to be like kind of right in the same space.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to clear the air about something real quick, though. You're kind of out of it on Tuesday night at the end there. What, you want to tell everybody what you were doing?
Yeah. I don't know that I was really out of it. I wasn't just
you were out of it. You were out of it.
I was not as engaged. So I was actually drafting another team, and so
what in the world? How
Again?
are you drafting another team in late September?
Because
What's
you can draft all the way up to, I think, October 7th is
goodness.
is the end deadline. And so I just decided, like, I hadn't done a 250 team because I just felt like there were too many variables out there this season. And then, like, after we got through the first 2 weeks of the season and I felt more confident about kind of what the landscape looked like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to draft a 250 team now. So,
Wow.
So that was what I was doing. And it actually, it played out, it was obviously like played out very differently because McCaffrey's hurt, Saquon's hurt. And so, like the first couple picks were Zeke and Kamara. And then like Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones went 3-4. And then I actually took Jonathan Taylor at 5.
Whoa, nice.
So I thought like, maybe I could wait and get him in the second round. But I've got a lot of teams with CEH. I've got a lot of teams with Derrick Henry. And so I just decided to kind of hedge my bets there a little bit. And I wanted to get Taylor. I wanted to come out with either Aaron Jones or Taylor. Jones was gone. I didn't really want to risk Taylor going to, to the 15th pick or whatever. So, so I ended up with a pretty, I think it's a pretty solid team, but it obviously it looks different because, a few weeks ago, nobody was drafting Jonathan Taylor in the first round and, and just things like that. I think someone in that league actually took Robinson in the third round, James Robinson in the third round. So
I don't think it's worth that much, but that's interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah. So he went there, like Cam Newton went in the 6th. Oof. And so it was a very different, it's funny how dramatically things change 2 weeks into the season and what a draft looks like then, as opposed to a day before the season starts.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, that's just interesting. I'm gonna have to get into draft. But
oh my goodness.
How you doing, AJ?
I'm doing all right. I mean, it's Saturday, so that means it's Georgia Day. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. We're finally back. But I'm more interested to see what happens in Roto Hackers Listener League this week because we only have 4 teams who are undefeated left, and we know Jared's gonna win. But that leaves that Gardner Minshew, Matt Quest, and I've got Slanting Chubb this week. Oh, I want to see who's going to play spoiler. I'm excited.
Well, speaking of the Listener League, if you guys want, anybody who's listening, please join us on Facebook. There are perks to joining us on Facebook. We have more communication. And speaking of which, we actually have a special guest today. His name, we know him as Ben. Ben, we're going to bring Ben on in. Let me get us ready here. Ben.
There he is.
One of our favorites in the Listener League, up there with Ryan, Thomas H. Ben, how are you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey guys, glad to be here.
There we go. All right.
Well, so Ben, he tuned into our show last week, had some great things to say. Hey,
I'm doing great. I don't know if there's a delay or not. Yeah, there's about a 5-second delay.
Okay.
Oh, he may be. I wonder why. I wonder why there's such a delay. Are you watching it, Ben, on the? Are you watching it on our regular page as opposed to the StreamYard page? That might be why. If you're doing that.
Yeah, don't watch it through YouTube. Turn YouTube off. And we'll wait.
Yes, and I can switch that up right now. Thanks for
Okay, yeah, that'll
Sure,
help a lot. All right. So, anyways, yeah, go to our Facebook page. We'll probably have Jonathan on.
You guys go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
We'll probably have Thomas H on at some point. Ryan, if you want to come on. But we have a couple questions in the chat already. Ryan is with us today. Ryan, we got to have you on at some point. He said, I'm a start Burrow over Wentz in our league.
I get it.
LMAO.
I get it. I honestly get this one. I honestly get this one. Burrow's playing Philadelphia. Their secondary is terrible, and Wentz has been looking atrocious over the last two. I get it. I totally get starting Burrow this week.
Yeah, I agree. I was almost gonna. I let myself get talked out of starting Burrow because of the like sort of widespread hype for Minshew, and now I wish I'd played Burrow. But yeah, no, I like Burrow over Wentz. Although, both are. It is the Cincinnati defense, so either one's probably okay.
Ben, can you hear us better?
Yes, I think I'm all set up now.
All right, great.
There we go. All right.
So, what is it like being on this side of the video?
It really hasn't changed other than having to look over to my left instead of look to you guys. And then I'm hearing myself talk. So that's a little weird, but I like hanging out with you guys. It's like every other day watching y'all's broadcast.
Okay. Well, we love having you.
Now, is Ben just your alias? Is your real name Chris Daughtry?
Sometimes I go by Chris.
Do you ever get that? Do people ever tell you look like Chris Daughtry?
No, it's the first time.
That's the first one. Okay.
Really? I thought that too when I first saw it, but I wasn't rude enough to say that. So.
I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not. Well, hey, no. Listen, comparing someone to a famous musician is
that's true.
Kind of take that. I'll take that all day.
That's a compliment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get fat Pete Sampras. I guess Pete Sampras is fat now anyway. So yeah. All right. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your history with fantasy football? How long have you been playing?
Sure. I've probably been playing for about 5-6 years. And I just finally made it to the championship last year.
Ooh,
and I lost pretty badly. But hey, I made it.
Yep.
You made it to the championship. I mean, that's all you can really do. I love what Jared says is that just getting into the playoffs, you're going to at least get your money back as far as the professional league.
Well, if you have to win your first round matchup. So that's what, So
that's right.
Yeah. With pro leagues, like if I win the championship, cool. That's a nice little, bonus icing on the cake. But my goal is always to get into the playoffs and win that first round, because then you triple your buy-in money. So maybe I should be more, I don't know if that's really good in terms of the spirit of competition to be okay with settling for that. But just in terms of an investment, it's good for that at least. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. We've got, go ahead.
To me, being in fantasy football isn't really about winning the money. It's more about just having fun, interacting with the other players in the game.
Right.
And just watching football and trying to evaluate people based on their skills, the matchups, and then gloat to your friends if you win.
There you
and
go.
Then cower
That's
away and don't text anybody if you lose.
That's
There you
that's
go.
that's a good strategy. Yeah, and I will say, like, normally I don't really care that much about free leagues, but being in the listeners league, like
Mhm.
I'm every bit as competitive with it as I am with my pay leagues. You know, like if you put a gun to my head and said, which do you want to win more, the listener
Oh,
league
we know,
or
Jared. We know.
right?
Woo!
It's funny. It's funny because like I have a couple leagues that are free, and it sometimes, depending on who's in those leagues, it's a lot more competitive than
Mhm.
the ones where I have a lot of money riding on them.
Yeah.
AJ Herschel, you used to be in. So when we first started talking about fantasy football, you were in a lot of free leagues. Have you? You're still in free leagues,
I'm
or
still
have
in
you?
free leagues. It's all about bragging
Okay.
rights for me still.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's take and Ben, feel free to chime in. We're gonna take some questions here. Braden's been waiting for a little while. Thanks for joining us, Braden. He says Robert Woods or Stefan Diggs, PPR. I say no diggity, no doubt, all the way. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
I'll
think
go to you,
agree.
AJ.
I think I agree with you on this one. Robert Woods, I mean, obviously I like him better in PPR than I do in standard, but Diggs has kind of been Josh Allen's favorite target. And if they're just going to keep letting him loose like they have over the last week, especially against Miami, I know they have a tougher matchup against the Rams this week, but especially the Rams against that Bills defense, I'd rather go Diggs here. He's got a much higher ceiling than Woods.
Yeah, same. The Jalen Ramsey matchup, well, kind of the whole Rams matchup worries me a little bit because you're going to have Aaron Donald chasing Josh Allen around, and then you may have Jalen Ramsey on Diggs, but I still like it better than Woods. The Rams offense, you still just don't really know week to week, like who's going to be the one. You know, last week it was Tyler Higbee, week 1, Robert Woods. So even with the matchup, yeah, I still like Diggs.
Ben, what do you think?
I like them both, but I would lean Diggs this week just because Brown has some sort of foot issue, and I think maybe Diggs will get a couple extra targets.
True.
I think that's smart. I forgot that Brown was he's a little banged up. Very good. Thomas says, I have the worst 2-0 team ever in the listener league version of the Bears. What do you say to that, AJ?
Well, he's almost the complete opposite of the Bears because in this league, he's got good wide receivers, but absolutely no running backs. I'm still wondering how he's 2-1 as well. I mean, Higbee blew up, Wilson blew up. It's probably how he got there. But if there's one thing he loves more, I guess, than being in one of those undefeated teams, it's giving me a hard time about Chicago. So no comment on this one.
It's one of the worst feelings in a way. Like the worst feelings are having a really good team that's 0-2, and you're like, man, this is like, if I could get this team to the playoffs, it's going to do well. But just by, usually bad luck or other teams having, good days against you. Like I've got a couple of teams, probably more than a couple, that are pretty good, but they've had like 300 points scored against him over the first 2 weeks. I'm averaging like 150 points a game against me. So that sucks. But then another sinking feeling is when you're 2-0, but your team is not really that good. And you're just like trying to figure out how you can cobble together a win each week. So yeah, those are not great feelings.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. We've got. Oh, by the way, so okay, real quick before we go to this question, to that point where you guys were talking about, is it just me, or I'm going through all my leagues, and it feels like everybody has a stacked team, like everybody on it just it's hard for me to find bad teams in my leagues. What is going on? Is it because of all the injuries? It just feels like everybody is sort of at the same level, and yet I still, like you said, have people blowing up for 150 to 200 points against me. Yet I still feel like I've got great players. Did any of you guys get in that sense this year? Ben,
Yeah.
we'll go to you first.
Yeah, go to Ben first.
Well, I always get the sense that every time someone plays me, their players have the best career day of their life for some reason. But
Yep.
maybe that's just my own bias. But in my paid league, I'm probably going to be 1-2 this week, just because of James Robinson. And then I caught the Minshew bug on Wednesday and played him last night, or 2 nights ago. So that's not going to go well, I don't think. But yeah, I just feel like everyone has a great Sunday when they play me, but when they play someone else, they go under 100 points.
What do you guys think?
AJ?
I can understand that to a point. See, it's interesting. I'm in one other league with Judah Buddha, and I'm winning because last week I put up 180 points, so now I'm 2-0. So my problem is that if I end up getting next to no points the next week, I'm like, how can I feel confident in my team actually putting over 100? And then I get a whole bunch of points, and I'm like, am I going to be able to even keep this? Was this just the Aaron Jones one day out of the year where he puts up 45? I'm mentally messing with myself and psyching myself out in some of these leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it a little bit before. It just seemed like I was worried about this season because it just seems like, when you look at quarterbacks, like there's several, at least through the first 2 weeks, guys putting up elite level points. Beyond just Mahomes and Jackson, you've got Kyler, Dak, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Cam.
Yeah.
And if one of those is on each roster, you get up to 7 or 8 teams with a star quarterback. Tight ends. We talked about tight ends, beyond the usual few elite guys. Look at all the guys doing well, Noah Fant, Jonnu, Gesicki.
Jonnu's the number 1 tight end right now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
All of these guys, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee, all these different guys. And then wide receiver, the top 2 wide receivers have mostly been out, Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. So that playing field's pretty leveled in terms of, what receivers fantasy teams have. And then running back, again, pretty similar too, where there's so many messy backfields that the number of elite running backs is cut down to a limited number. Most people probably took 1 of those or 2 of those in the first couple of rounds, and then all the other guys are fairly even. So I think it does just make sense for it to be pretty level, really competitive leagues with a lot of parity just because of, all those factors.
Okay, back to the comments. Ray Gibson says Godwin, Gallup, or Galladay. It's the G question. Full PPR. I think I'd have to go with Galladay, but that's risky. This is a tough question. What do you guys think? Let's go to what?
I got to think about this one.
I'll get mine out quick. Yeah, just Godwin for me because Gallup, 5 targets each of the first 2 games. Maybe this is the week he blows up, but you can't really count on that. Galladay, it's you can't count on him for sure. I think actually he'll probably play at the same time as Godwin. It's probably 4:00 games in Denver and Arizona both, but with his foot, hamstring, I would be a little iffy on trusting that. I would go with Godwin.
What do you think, AJ?
I'm all in on Godwin.
Okay, so Ben, you say all in on Godwin? Why?
Well, number 1, he's on my team, so I'm biased. But, number 2, Gallup, I just don't think he's going to get as many targets. I think Dak's going to spread the ball around. He's got Zeke, one of the best running backs. And Galladay is kind of unproven this year. We haven't really seen him do anything, but Galladay could come out and impress. But I like the Brady Godwin connection. I think that's going to develop over the year and turn into something good. I hope.
Could be. Now he was in protocol last week, right? He
Yeah.
had
Mhm.
what's it called?
Concussion.
Concussion. There we go. I think I've had. Anyway, so AJ, what do you think?
I think I'm with the guys on this one. So y'all know I haven't been high on Gallup the entire year. I've been way lower on him than you guys have. Galladay, I like him as a player and I like him with Detroit, but he's still questionable. I was just looking up his injury stat. He said he's not 100%, and that completely sells me on Godwin for this week. I do worry a little bit about Mike Evans because apparently him and Brady have started having a good connection, and maybe Evans takes away Godwin's targets. I mean, we even look at the first week, Evans only got one target, but guess what it was? It was for a touchdown. But Godwin here, he's the healthiest out of all of them. He's the one I trust the most right now out of all of them in the best offense. I would go Godwin.
Okay. I'm still Galladay. I think he's gonna blow up. It's gonna be his debut. His debut. All right. So Ryan says, how'd you feel about the big trade in the league? What is he talking? Is he talking about that one? I voted against it, but what was
so
what
for those
was
of you
it?
guys who don't know, Ryan gave T.Y. Hilton, Joe Mixon, and David Johnson to MathQuest, who in return gave Robert Woods and Zeke.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I was like, I don't need Zeke going over there to Ryan. Is that what it is? No, yeah. I typically use the veto button, even though I get frustrated when people do it against me. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think Ryan got the better end of it. I just don't have a lot of faith in what Joe Mixon's going to be able to do. But, sort of featured running backs are pretty scarce. And so, I think kind of what made me think like, okay, I see where this would make sense for MathQuest is, getting two, let's see. Yeah, getting two running backs there where he got, Mixon and David Johnson. So T.Y. and Robert Woods. I mean, I like Woods better. T.Y. could, get it together here. So I don't think there's a tremendous gap there. So I think it's fair, but I think Ryan got the better end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Ben,
what do you think, Ben?
I go with what Jared said. He nailed it, and I never veto stuff because I don't want people to veto my trades if I'm ever in that position. So
kind of a do unto others, and I typically don't live by that in fantasy football. All right, so Drew Vano says DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Devin Singletary, pick two. I'm going DJ Moore and Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary is going to have a huge week. The other two are kind of a wash. I worry about having, I don't know, maybe it'd be nice to have Hollywood playing on Monday. So it'd be, you kind of know what to expect or what you need by the time Monday rolls around. And then you have Hollywood coming in, and hopefully you don't need too much because he could be boom or bust, it seems like. What do you guys think? Let's go with you, AJ Herschel. The kid. Oh, we forgot to introduce. Anyways, yeah.
No, that's fine. I think I'd go more in Hollywood in this one, actually. And even though the Ravens offense does worry me a little bit just in general in playing any of them, because other than Lamar, because they can just score with anybody on their entire team, I'm more confident in Brown maybe getting higher points than Devin Singletary in this case, because Singletary has been perfectly fine throughout 2 weeks, and that's about it. And I know he's got a good matchup this week, but I think this is Josh Allen's team to lose, and so I'd go Moore and Hollywood. I'm expecting big points in the Ravens-Chiefs game, so I would go the two wide receivers here.
What do you think, J-Rowd?
This is PPR, by the way,
normally,
Jared.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to say DJ Moore and Singletary. Hollywood, that Chiefs game, it should be a shootout, but you can't ever really count on exactly what Hollywood is going to get week to week, or at least it still seems like that right now. The big thing with Singletary is it would be hard for me to recommend him except for the fact that Zach Moss is out. So, so PPR plus Zach Moss being out, I think Singletary. And then, I don't love the DJ Moore matchup with those Chargers cornerbacks, but the volume is going to be there. He had 9 targets in week 1. He had 13 targets in week 2. So again, PPR, I think his volume makes the difference over Brown. Brown's probably has the highest ceiling. So if you're chasing points and feel like you need somebody to have a blow up game, that would probably be the guy that I rolled the dice on. But otherwise, I would go with Moore and Singletary.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Ben?
Moore and Singletary seem like the safest. Brown, when I think of Hollywood Brown, I think you have Lamar Jackson who could run it. They could hand it off to Dobbins or Ingram, or he can throw it to Mark Andrews, Miles Boykin, Snead can get a long ball. So Hollywood Brown's kind of a gamble, but the safest pick, I think, is Moore and Singletary.
I think that's right. AJ, did you know that Moss was out this week?
I actually didn't hear that. No, that makes me higher on Singletary now. Actually, it's close between them for me.
Yeah. All right. Cademan Bauer says, "Hey guys, man, his what's it called? The giraffe,
the Scarabee giraffe.
The Scarabee giraffe's not.
He was talking all that trash to us right after the draft.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then Ray Gibson says, "When are you guys going to make that Discord?" I think we may have made one. I don't know. I got to check. But if you want to make one and share the link here, we'll join. I guess I've been trying to get these guys to join Discord, and they don't. They need, they don't like newfangled stuff. I guess I don't know. And Seth Sconiers, thank you for the first time I've seen anything from Seth Sconiers. Thank you for joining us, man. Gordon, Lamb, David Montgomery, or Gage flex PPR. I think if you got to go with one flex, I'd go with Montgomery or Gage. Probably Montgomery. What do you guys think? Let's go to you, Ben. Start you off.
That's Melvin Gordon, CC Lamb or CD Lamb.
Yeah.
David Montgomery or Russell Gage. I'd probably lean towards Melvin Gordon just because he's going to get 12 to 14 carries. Or, I'm not sold on David Montgomery yet. And CeeDee Lamb, I don't think he's going to do much. Russell Gage is kind of risky. Yeah, I'd go Melvin Gordon.
All right, let's keep going around counterclockwise. Jared, what do you think?
That's a tough pick between Gordon and Montgomery. Anytime anyone's going up against the Falcons defense, it's hard to turn away from them. Yeah, I mean, Gordon did well last week against a pretty tough Steelers run defense. Got 19 carries. I think, let's see, let me check in on Philip Lindsay because I think he got in.
He was practicing actually.
Yeah, I think he's doubtful still though. He's listed as doubtful. I guess kind of the scary thing with the Broncos offense is, Locke is out. So I guess it's going to be, is it Driscoll? And then Sutton's gone. They've got Tampa coming in. It's kind of hard to really know exactly what that Tampa defense looks like. They've looked good, but not great. I would go. I would be maybe inclined to just give an slight edge to Montgomery, but if you went with Gordon, I wouldn't have any issue with that. But I would definitely go with one of the 2 running backs.
AJ Herschel, what do you think, buddy?
I'm gonna be honest. I like Gage if Julio is out. I picked him up in one league just as kind of like I had someone to drop. I can't remember who it was. It was like Shady or something. I was like, oh, why not pick up Russell Gage? And he got a touchdown pass. So I think if you're chasing points and Julio's out, Gage is good. But I'm not that much of a risk taker when it comes to fantasy. Y'all know that. I'd go Melvin Gordon, honestly, here. David Montgomery, I mean, I think he's got a decent ceiling, but Atlanta wasn't bad stopping Ezekiel Elliott last week, to be fair. They were really beat by Dak through the air, and I don't know if Mr. Trubisky's going to be able to beat everyone else through the air. Gordon, he's, I think, completely taken over the backfield. I don't think Lindsey's going to play either. And if you could put up 15 points on the Steelers defense, who I think is arguably the best defense in the league, I'd like to go Gordon in this scenario.
What's interesting about CeeDee Lamb, now, I always get him confused. CeeDee Lamb is with the Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, they're playing the Seahawks, and the Seahawks have given up a ton of passing yards. Now, they've only given up a couple touchdowns, but by far, they've given up the most passing yards to in the last 2 games, and they don't have a very good secondary at all. And they do get a little pressure on the quarterback, but not very much. I think that this could be an air it out for Dak this week. So it is interesting, at least, to think CeeDee Lamb may be the number 1 target. Cooper, maybe it'll be. It's hard to tell. Like, it's kind of Russian roulette.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be this week. It could be what's his name?
Gallup.
The third Gallup. Yeah, I'm hoping it's Gallup because I've got him fired up against Jared. But we'll see.
Judah's going to be switching. He's going to be switching those people in and out, though. The pressure, again, I'm 4-0 all time against him. The pressure just ratchets up with every time we play. You know, it gets in his head. He's like, should I play this guy? Should I play that guy? He's going to just at 3 a.m. He's going to be up on his computer, switching people in and out. It's going to be, yeah.
It's a scary time for Judah Buddha. All right, we have Cademan saying he likes David Montgomery for that and says David Johnson or Kareem Hunt.
Ooh.
I think I just traded Cam for Kareem Hunt. I thought, the guy.
Wait, straight up 1 for 1?
Yeah.
But I assume you probably have, who's your other quarterback?
I have Lamar.
Oh yeah. So
yeah. So I'm thinking Kareem Hunt has a sweet floor. I don't think he's going to get you less than 10 or 12 points, and he could blow up like last week. So who are they playing? They're playing.
They've got Washington.
Washington's actually been a decent run defense. But he mostly is the pass catching back. So I don't know. David Johnson. Who's David Johnson playing?
Steelers.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going Kareem Hunt.
At Pittsburgh. Yeah. Same.
I'm going Kareem Hunt. What do you guys think?
Same.
We'll start with you. Okay. Jared. Ben.
Yeah. Kareem.
Yeah. AJ.
Yeah, as soon as I saw David Johnson was playing Pittsburgh, I was like, I don't care who Kareem Hunt's playing. I'm not starting. With that offensive line in Houston, I'm not starting David Johnson against the Steelers. I'm taking Hunt.
Yeah,
he didn't do well against Baltimore last week. 11 carries. That's the tough thing with Johnson too. Is like even though he's technically the feature back, I guess even Duke Johnson was out last week. He's had 11 carries each of the first 2 games. And last week it was 11 carries for 34 yards. So yeah, no David Johnson for me against the Steelers.
Okay. Static Pros in the house. Thank you for tuning in. Leonard Fournette or Josh Kelly for flex this week. Full PPR. Josh Kelly seems to be blowing up. it looks like it's going to be Herbert, right? Again this
Yep.
week. Oh, I mean, with a punctured lung, I don't know when Ty God's going to be back. Leonard Fournette could also be in the mix for most improved player, but I don't think he's going to be catching. Well, of course, Josh Kelly's not going to be catching. Well, although he putting Herbert in actually got him. Kelly's throwing to his running backs, so I think he had like 2 catches, but still did a lot with it. I'm probably going to go with Josh Kelly in the flex just for the upside. What do you guys think? Looks like, Ben, you've got something to say about it.
I like Leonard Fournette a lot.
Mhm.
Whether it's PPR or standard, I would just rather I'd feel more comfortable risking Fournette on my team than Josh Kelly with the rookie quarterback Herbert, which I think he'll do pretty good. But once they figure out his scheme, I don't think it's going to be easy for Josh. And you have Eckler on the team, who's going to get most of those dump off passes. So I don't know. I wouldn't go with Joshua Kelly, but he could way outperform Leonard Fournette. But I feel more comfortable with Fournette this week.
AJ Herschel, what do you think?
This is tough for me, and there's only really one reason why. You know who Fournette just blew up against? It's Carolina. You know who Carolina gets this week? The Chargers. And that's why it's so hard for me, because I think if Kelly's going to blow up in any game this year, I think it's going to be against Carolina. He picked up 22 carries last week, even though he was more involved in the passing game. And the Panthers defense just let up a whole bunch of yards to Fournette on 12 carries alone. And while I like Fournette, I like his ceiling. I like how he's coming into a bigger role with the team. It's really hard for me to pass up an opportunity against the worst defense in the league, who's been torched by Josh Jacobs, I think it was first, right? And then Fournette. So I would go Kelly because I love his ceiling this week.
Interesting. J-Rod, what do you think?
Yeah, Kelly for me. Fournette. I mean, Fournette had 12 carries for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns against Carolina last week. Josh Jacobs had 25 carries for 93 yards and 3 touchdowns. Carolina's run defense is every bit as bad as it was at the end of last season. And I think maybe, having Herbert in there might, cause them to lean even more on Kelly, not even risking sort of little dump offs and stuff like that with him to Eckler. Like AJ said, Kelly had 23 carries last week against the Chiefs, which I did not expect. I figured the Chiefs would get up on him. They wouldn't really be able to use him that much. They would have to throw more, but the Chargers controlled most of that game. So I would go with Kelly here. I like Fournette. If I could get Fournette for a reasonable price, I think he's got a good long-term outlook with Tampa. But for this week, I would go Kelly.
It'll be interesting to see. I agree with you guys. Let's move on to Thomas H. I'm already tired of having to choose between Hurst and Higbee each week. So this week, I'm just going to play them both. Guess what? He's pulling the Judah play. Judah Buddha play.
That is, if there's not an obvious sign, like what is a bigger obvious sign of desperation than pulling a Judah play?
Playing 3 tight ends.
Yes, there we go.
I am in the listener league playing 3.
Oh no! Oh no!
Wow! Oh my!
Which
I'm
three are
going
you
against
playing?
Cademan. I'll still win.
Oh, so much.
Who are you? What 3 are you playing, Ben?
I played Gesicki 2 nights ago, and then I have Waller
Ooh,
and Schultz.
Ooh,
Okay.
interesting. Not going with. I mean, those are like high upside but low floor guys. Interesting.
mm-hmm.
All right. What do you guys think about the Judah strategy of the tight end strategy so far. The experiment, the Judah Buddha experiment, we'll call it.
I like it. I think it's great. Tight ends are getting a lot of love this year, and you've got two good ones. So
yeah.
What were you gonna say, J-Rod?
I'll have more respect for you if you'll keep Will Dissly in your lineup.
Yeah, respect nothing. You want me to lose.
One catch for 9 yards on one target last week.
He's just getting warmed up. It's
funny because there's actually a team in the league I'm in that's for bragging rights whose name is actually the return of Dissly, and we were live drafting and he was hyping up Dissly. He's like, yeah, this is his return. He's going to be back. And they drafted him, and I'm just shaking my head over here going, it's not going to happen. I love Will Dissly, but it's not going to
happen. Okay, well, let's keep going. Seth Sconier says, is Hollywood Brown Marquise Brown? The answer is yes, he is.
Antonio Brown's cousin.
That's right.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Gordon against the Bucks run D won't do anything, says Ryan. I don't know. He might. I tend to shy away from putting too much weight on any particular defense. I think it's definitely a factor, but be careful.
See, I agree with him to a point, though, because even they stopped Kamara and Latavius Murray pretty well in their first few weeks and held McCaffrey down. But especially Denver, I was high on them to start. Now Locke's gone. Now Sutton's gone. I think it's the points are going to get distributed out more. I like Gordon, and he was able to put up 15 on Pittsburgh. So even though he probably won't be the most effective, I still like Gordon this week.
And Ryan's a Bucks fan, so he's always going to be a little bit more overconfident about what the Bucks are going to be able to do. So, but I agree with him in the sense that that's part of the reason I would give a slight edge to that question we had earlier about Montgomery over Gordon. But Ryan might be giving the Bucks run D a little too much credit there.
Yeah. All right, let's go. What was that?
Nothing.
By the way, Judah Buddha, says Thomas H., I am loving that I don't even have to think about kickers and defense in the league. Me too. You're commissioner of the year. Well, hello. We need to have Thomas H. on next. Let's bring him on. He actually has been on the show, by the way. Old school. What was his name again? AJ Herschel?
He PT the part-timer.
PT the part-timer was his pseudonym. So we got to get PT back on. Jonnu Smith or Darren Waller? I'd go with Jonnu. Darren Waller, I've heard a lot of talk about the ability of who they're facing.
Patriots.
The Patriots, their ability of the Patriots to shut down Darren Waller is just too scary of an option. Jonnu Smith is, like I said, the number one fantasy tight end. I think I heard that. So what do you guys think?
Well, while someone else is giving their opinion, I'm going to look and see if he's the number one.
Okay. All right. What do you think, AJ?
Ben, you want to go first? I got to think about this one for a second.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just going to go off what I've seen, just the highlights, no stats. I think Darren Waller is just the better athlete, but depending on the matchup, Smith could definitely have a better fantasy day. So to me, I'd flip a coin.
Also, note that I think Brown is out again. AJ Brown is out again. So that's something to note. What'd you find, Jared?
So technically after last night, he's the number 2 tight end because Mike Gesicki, with the benefit of a third game, he caught that touchdown pass. So he jumped up. Well, I'm just saying technically here. So for the first 2 weeks of the season, hey, listen, anytime I can find an opportunity to prove that you were wrong, I am going to take it. I don't care what the qualifiers were. So anyway,
Oh man.
Well, just so everybody knows that.
but through the first 2 weeks of the season, you're right. He was the number one tight end by half a point over Travis Kelce. So, yeah, this is a tough one because, and especially it makes it even tougher with PPR because, you know, Darren Waller's volume is just so much more than Jonnu's, you know, for all of his points. Jonnu's, you know, kind of making his living on touchdowns. He's got 3 touchdowns through the first 3 games. Now, he did have good yardage in that game against Jacksonville too, but he's only caught 4 balls in each one of those games. So it's hard to kind of count on the volume. But, you know, it scares me with Waller. He's got a knee injury. He's technically questionable. I don't think there's much danger that he won't play. I think he will play. But the Patriots, the 2 things the Patriots are pretty good at is shutting down your running game and taking away your number 1 option. And in the Raiders offense, the number 1 option is Darren Waller. So I would probably chance it and go with Jonnu because the matchups are so different. I mean, they're going up against the Titans are going up against the Vikings, who just got lit up by the Colts' Mo Alley Cox last week for 5 catches and 111 yards. So when Jonnu's already doing well, Darren Waller's banged up and got a bad matchup, and Jonnu's got, you know, a good matchup, then I'm gonna lean to him. But it would be it's got to take like all those factors for me to pick him over Waller.
It's a pretty close decision here, I'd say. All right, let's see. We've got Ryan saying the Bucks run D was first in the league last year. True. Held Kamara to 16 points, but I don't think they're the
16 rushes for 22 yards. He was averaging
16
like
rushes.
1.5 yards to carry.
I don't think they're as stout on the run side this year, though they're a little bit more stout on the pass defense. Their secondary has actually gotten a little better. I think their pass rush too has gotten better.
The Bucs are just better.
Think? They are in general.
Maybe Brady helped that defense out.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I'm sure he by not having them having the defense on the field every 10 minutes probably help, or every 3 downs. No, sometimes it's like 1 down.
1 down because an immediate pick 6 and the defense is back on the field. Plus, also, like Tom Brady probably threatened them, like physically threatened members of the defense to say, "Look, I'm here to win another championship. I will murder you if we don't." So.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Drew says Bills DST or Chargers DST. Chargers are facing the Rams. Bills are facing
Chargers facing the Panthers.
I mean Panthers. Bills facing the Rams. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I would definitely go with the Chargers facing the Panthers. What do you guys think? We'll go with you, Ben. What do you think?
This is another coin flip for me. I would go Bills. Just because I just think they're a stronger defense. I don't have any data or anything.
Okay. I like that though. They've got, is that Tre'Davious White, right? In their secondary. What do you think, AJ? Seems like you got some thoughts.
This is really tough for me because I got the Bills defense in one league and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I got one of the best defenses. And then they got 2 points against Miami. And now I have no idea what to do. They're really kind of even to me. The Chargers really did nothing against Kansas City, but I mean, that makes sense. And the Bills have gotten 3 sacks in each game. Chargers are playing Carolina. The Rams are inconsistent. I might lean Chargers, but yeah, I might be with Ben on this one. Flip a coin.
Jared, what do you think?
Chargers for me. Yeah, I think Buffalo has a good real life defense. I don't really know what their deal is right now. How they gave up really even 17 points to the Jets, and then with Miami, I mean, we saw, if you watch the game Thursday night, like Miami actually looks better than what we thought they would. The Florida teams look better. Jacksonville looks better than we thought they would. Miami looks better. So I'm willing to forgive some of that. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge gap between the two of them. Who knows? Goff could always melt down, but I think that Panthers team on the road without Christian McCaffrey, you could end up like, let's see, Tampa last week against them
They blew up
14 points. They had 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. I think that's where I would lean.
Their offensive line is not great, and people are getting sacks. Like you said, Tampa had 5 sacks?
Yeah.
I think Chargers are going to have a nice, sweet little game there. Let's see. Josh is kind of in the same vein. Josh Allen versus the Rams or Cam versus the Raiders was totally a coin flip last week.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that is tough, but I'm gonna go with the hot hand of Josh Allen. What do you think, AJ?
I think this is a tough one. The Rams there's a couple teams in the NFL right now who I think are an enigma, and the Rams are one of them. And it's not like they actually held the Cowboys down pretty well, but Cam's going to be getting the Raiders, and the Raiders they held Drew Brees down, but they also let what's the dude's name, Teddy Bridgewater, throw all over them for 30 points. And so I might be inclined to go Cam here, to go with I think both of them are the hot hand, honestly, in this instance.
Yeah.
And Cam's just got the safe rushing floor. I like Allen. You're right about this being a coin flip, honestly. If I'm chasing points, I might go Cam against the Raiders just because their back line, their secondary is very bad. So I might go Cam.
Yeah, when you said the hot hand, I'm like, well, which one of those is the hot hand?
Well, Cam did okay, but he did better than expectations. But he didn't do better than Josh Allen. Yeah.
Well, here's a fun stat. So So you were talking about Jonnu being the top tight end. The number 2 and number 3 fantasy quarterbacks are Josh Allen at 62.68 points and Cam Newton at 61.28. So Josh Allen has been 1.4 points better than Cam Newton. So
I had.
Yeah, right. So it's like, it's like you walk outside and it's 61 degrees 1 minute, and then you go back 30 minutes later and it's 62, and you're like, man, whew, when did this temperature shoot up like that?
But listen,
so I get what you're saying. Again, I established a few minutes ago that every opportunity I have, I'm going to take shots at you. So that's just what we're working with here. So I like both of them. I'm gonna go with Cam for the matchup, though. Josh Allen, I like him. I think he's gonna have a good year. It does scare me a little bit with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, especially with Donald, that he could just end up like blowing up Josh Allen's day. Whereas the Raiders did do well last week, but Cam first 2 weeks has looked really good. So I would go with him.
What do you think, Ben?
This is a really good problem to have between Josh Allen and Cam. I mean, I wish I had one of them on my team, but the Rams, I think, have a better defense. So, but if I had to pick, regardless of the matchup, I would lean Josh Allen. Both of them are going to get rushing yards. So I like going with the safer pick. I would go Josh Allen this week just because I think he's going to continue throwing up bombs and scoring lots of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he's got the better offensive line too, and I don't think that's insignificant against sure Aaron Donald, but they got a great offensive line to protect him, so I'm not really worried about Aaron Donald. But Seth Sconiers has another one. He says Chris Carson, Jonathan Taylor, Kenyon Drake as my running backs. What order do you put them in? RB1, RB2, flex, PPR. Oh,
like Ben said, this is another good problem to have Carson Taylor and Kenyon.
I don't know. Kenyon has been
Gets
okay.
Detroit this week, I think. Isn't it? Isn't it the Lions?
Kenyon Drake.
Yes. Yes, it's the Lions. Yeah.
Drake's gonna get his touchdowns and yards. He's gonna.
I guess.
Just a matter
but
of time.
Chase Edmonds has been in there for important downs. Now it's true that Drake has been getting the majority of the snaps. It just worries me that Chase Edmonds has been in there so much on important downs, you know. What were you saying, Ben? What do you think? How would you rate? Like, how would you order these?
This week, I'd have to look at it. Hold on.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, what do you think, Jared?
Yeah, this is a great matchup for Drake. I almost wanted to put him at number one, but I'm still going to go with Taylor at home. The Colts get them at home. The 49ers ran all over the Jets last week. The Jets have so many people out on offense: Le'Veon, Jamison Crowder, Brashad Perryman. We've talked about their defense and all that. But the Jets are literally down to like their fourth and fifth wide receivers. I think they're going to have trouble moving the ball. And Taylor is for sure going to get fed. So I would go Taylor, Drake, and then Carson. But yeah, wow. That's a nice, you play all three of them unless you have some other, crazy high pick there to use in a flex spot. But yeah, you're in good shape there. But I would go Taylor, Drake, Carson. But this could be the game. Drake had games last year, where he just blew up for like 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And with it being the Lions, I mean, this could be that week. But I would still play Taylor, put Taylor ahead of him.
AJ, what do you think?
I'm the exact same here. You know who just blew up on the Lions? Aaron Jones for 45 points. I love Jonathan Taylor this week, especially if he's going to be getting 20-plus carries a game. And if Phillip Rivers is going to be looking fine for the entire year, this offense right now runs through Taylor. Taylor is easy number one. And, I mean, Drake, oh, my goodness. The Cardinals, I have him in a couple of leagues.
Jonathan Taylor, they're going to be they're playing the Jets, right?
Yeah, it's
sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Okay,
it's Drake. Bad. It's Drake that gets the Lions.
Sorry,
and Taylor gets the Jets. But I mean, you take both those. So
yeah, just two great matchups, and Carson's just been kind of weird the first few weeks to me. Yeah, Taylor, Drake, Carson.
Interesting. I definitely.
I would put.
Go ahead.
I would put Taylor and Drake right there at the top. And then Chris Carson just right behind him.
Huh. I'm
just based on the matchups. Jets and the Lions. Based on
the matchups. I think Taylor is definitely number one, but I've got Drake dead last. I just don't trust him at this point. I don't know.
Well, granted, he has played San Francisco's defense, who is healthy at this point, and then Washington's front seven, who's looked pretty nice to start the year.
That is true. We'll see. It's just a feeling. Call it a intuition. Can't you? Yeah, okay. Anyways, Static Pros back again with another question. Asks also, Josh Allen versus the Rams or Mahomes? I have that same problem, and I'm just sticking with Mahomes. One, because I forget how much I like having Monday night like good Monday night players, because you get through Sunday, and even if you're down a little bit, you can at least say like, well, maybe Mahomes will have a blow up game. What do you guys think? Let's go to you, Jared.
I was just laughing, thinking like, if you came into the season, it says so much about fantasy football. If you came into the season or before the season, like, oh, who are you going to play in week 3, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? And people would have laughed at you like, oh, you're so stupid. You don't know how much better Patrick Mahomes is than Josh Allen. So, and then here we are like, oh, that's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't many players. Like, I don't buy into the start your studs philosophy. I will go against that sometimes. If I felt better about Josh Allen's matchup, if this was back towards, one of his week 1 matchups against the Jets or the Dolphins, I might actually play him over Mahomes. But with being kind of iffy about both of them, I can't bench Mahomes in this situation, but I can easily see Josh Allen having the better day, but I just couldn't do it here. If Allen had a better matchup, I could, but not here.
What do you think, Ben?
I like what you said, Judah, about having someone Monday night to believe in, because if you're down after Sunday night and you just need that, 22 points or 24 points to pull ahead, it really feels good to have someone like Mahomes in that spot, and it's just more enjoyable to watch the game. So since this matchup's so close, I would lean Mahomes just for the entertainment factor.
Yeah. I do want to say though, I'm much more confident in my Lamar Jackson shares than my Mahomes, just because of the defenses. But
yeah.
What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, for me, I'm a little bit worried about Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week, honestly. And trust me, I'll make a connection here. But he's playing the Ravens defense, who absolutely shut down Chubb, and then they played the Texans. So, I mean, they basically can do whatever they want there. I think this is going to be a Mahomes game. I think the Chiefs are going to have to beat them through the air. And the Rams have been able to shut down the quarterbacks pretty efficiently to start the year. They held Dak to only 266 yards and a touchdown. Carson Wentz was looking atrocious to start the year. And I like Josh Allen, but I think the Chiefs are going to need Mahomes this week. So I'm going with Patrick Mahomes.
Make it a round of Mahomes. There you go, Static Pros. All right. Thomas H. says, never trust a TB running back.
He's still on that.
Yeah, right? He hates him some TV running backs. All right. Ryan says, I'm probably starting 2 tight ends in the listener league as well. Ha, ha, ha. Everybody, you know what?
He's got Ertz and Hunter Henry this week, yeah.
Call me a trendsetter. Oh, that's what he said. Okay, so then Thomas H. says, in another league, I can pick up Jarvis Landry, Antonio Gibson, or Joshua Kelly off the waiver wire. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. I could use an upgrade at wide receiver and running back. Which would you get? It's full PPR. I'm going to defer to you guys. AJ, what do you think?
This one's easy for me. I go Josh Kelly on this one. I like Landry, but I've said it before. He typically catches on later in the year rather than earlier, and the Browns have kind of looked like a interesting mess to start the year. Gibson, I like him in the Redskins offense, but he has a really, really bad schedule going forward for the rest of the year, and so I don't like that. Josh Kelly, so far, he's established to have a safe floor so far throughout the entire year. So I would go Joshua Kelly. I think he's got a safe floor, and I honestly like his team better than the other two as well.
Interesting. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, that's tough, but I would say probably Kelly. I mean, Antonio Gibson, I was looking to see like what his carries look like.
Pretty high.
You're right. And I mean, last week, first week he had 9 carries. Last week he had 13. I mean, it's possible he gets up to a point where he's, getting like true feature back carries. But Josh Kelly, surprisingly, already got there last weweek with 23 against a team that you would have never expected him to. So PPR makes a little bit of a difference. I think he would be more of a clear pick if it was half point. And you never know what Jarvis is going to look like. We talked, maybe even last week about Jarvis and how he might just click and come on at some point during the season, but you can only, go with what the information you've got right now. I would go with Kelly, considering like what a premium there is on running backs.
Definitely pick.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben?
Leading off of what Jared said, it's the beginning of the season. You got to grab those running backs that are sticking their necks out, because by week 6, there's not going to be any running backs coming into the waivers. So, whereas there will be wide receivers coming up and replacing people for injuries or whatever. So, definitely lean on getting those running backs early.
Agreed. Although I do want to say, go back and watch we had a couple shows on depth chart as far as running backs go. And although, you will see a lot of wide receivers on the waiver wire, injuries seem to be abundant this year. Know your depth charts. All right. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the trouble with running backs, like what Ben was saying, is like right now you can have multiple guys on the wire the first few weeks of the season. And usually it's just a matter of like guessing right on which one to pick up. Like week 1, you had Malcolm Brown, you had Nyheim Hines, Kelly was maybe the 3rd or 4th guy. And then he ended up, probably being the best pick out of all of them for the season. But the trouble then, once we get past these first couple of weeks, here, then this week we had, Giants running backs, 49ers running backs, Panthers running backs, Rams running backs due to injuries. But then once you kind of get through, usually the first few weeks where there's some of the stuff going on, like Ben said, you may have a week where there's one running back coming out to pick up each week, but there's that one. And if you don't have the top waiver priority, or you don't want to spend crazy money on him, then so you're right. I mean, there still will be opportunities there with, and you need to know the depth chart, but kind of like he was saying, that it gets so slim that if you don't have that top waiver priority or, a ton of money to spend on it, then you're kind of out of luck.
That's true. The waiver wire pickup versus just looking at your waiver wire and you can pick anybody. There's a big difference between those two things. I kind of brushed over this earlier, but Ryan said Judy. So Julio does. I mean, it looks like we're not going to know. It's going to be game time decision. Now we're hearing Judy's not going to play. Is that correct? Did I see that on the news? That Jerry Judy's, because of his ribs, is listed as questionable.
He took a really hard hit.
I catch that earlier on. That's interesting. To me, that's like Fant. Play all your Fant now.
Yeah.
Put them in. Use the Judah Buddha experiment. Put multiple in. Anyways, okay, so just didn't want to brush over that so lightly. That's important news. We've got Browns D or Bears D or Ravens D.
Wait, did we? What, wasn't there a question in there?
Oh, wait, I skipped one. Another league I can no.
No. Back to the Hunter Henry. Wasn't it a question about Ertz or Hunter? Yeah. He's asking.
No, I think he was saying.
Okay.
Two.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was a question about which one to play. My bad.
Unless in this case, I would definitely play Ertz. But what do you guys think? If it is a question.
Yeah. Henry's gotten a lot of targets, 8 targets each of the first 2 games, but you got to figure Zach Ertz is due for a breakout Zach Ertz game.
Would you guys play Julio if he is a go? Would you? I mean, I would feel bad playing Hunter Henry over Julio Jones.
I probably have a league where I'm going to start Josh Kelly over Julio. unless they just said, nope, 100%, he's good to go. And I don't know that I would even believe them then still. Maybe if I saw him sprint at full speed from one end of the field to the other in warmups.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm probably going to play Josh Kelly over him. Last week,
Josh Henry? I mean, wait. Hunter. The question is, would you play Hunter Henry over him?
I know, but I'm just saying, in my league, I'm going to play him.
Oh yeah.
Hunter Henry. I mean, I think he's might actually have the safer floor, as crazy as it is, if he keeps getting that level of targets, and it's against the Panthers. I mean, Julio had in that game where the Falcons lost 40-39, he had 4 targets, 2 catches, and I think 24 yards. He had that one bomb touchdown that went through his hands, but with his hamstring, I mean, you're just running the risk of 2 plays into the game, he tweaks it, and then he's gone. So if you need the upside, if you're chasing points, Julio. If you're going for the safe play, I'd say Henry.
Everybody agree, or what do you? Looks like you agree, Ben.
Agreed.
AJ.
Yeah, I'd probably. Every time I see Julio injured, I just don't. That 1 week, I worry so much.
Every year?
Yeah. Okay. I'd probably go Henry just because it's the much safer play, and I don't know. I hate game time decisions so much unless they're on Monday night. So I would go Hunter.
All right. Well, let's go down to the question we had about the Browns D, the Bears D, or the Ravens D. To me, it normally wouldn't. Even with the Ravens playing the top offense in the world, I would still go Ravens because it could still be a shootout and they still have a lot of points. I've seen that happen so many times that the Ravens are so good at getting fantasy points regardless of whether or not a lot of points are scored against them or not. And I don't know, Bears D, Browns D. I don't know. What do you guys think? We'll go with you, Jared.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I've anywhere that I've got Indianapolis against the Jets, or the Chargers against the Panthers, or even the Bucks against the Broncos. I'm playing those. But outside of that, or Pittsburgh. But then outside of that, I was looking at some place where I have Baltimore, and there wasn't really any of those others on the wire. I was thinking about maybe Cleveland or looking at a couple others. And then I basically kind of came to the same conclusion you did, where, even against a really good offense, I think they could still put up some points. And, Kansas City's offense didn't look that great last week on the road against the Chargers. But you're right. It can still be sort of a shootout, and they can still put up points off of sacks and turnovers. So I would still go with the Ravens. The Browns, it makes me think about it a little bit, because I look at the talent on the Browns roster and the fact that Washington's going in there and think surely, the Browns could put up some decent points. But I've gotten burned, I think, too many times doing that, thinking that, they were going to put up something decent. Browns have given up 30 plus points in both of their first 2 games, 0 fantasy points and 4 fantasy points. So yeah, and I don't trust the Bears that much either in Atlanta. So I would go Ravens.
What do you think, AJ?
Not the Bears. I'll say that much. Matt Ryan is looking like an assassin at quarterback right now. He's throwing all over the field, and I don't know if we're going to be able to stop him. I'm concerned about that game in general. It comes down between the Browns and the Ravens for me. And Washington, I mean, the Cardinals defense put up a nice 9 points, I think it was, on Washington last week. But the Browns defense, like Jared was saying, they're inconsistent, and I don't trust them. And it's the only thing that makes me think twice about the Ravens is the Chiefs. And I was going to be like, well, I don't know, flip a coin. But then Jared brought up the point that they struggled against the Chargers. So I would go Ravens in this scenario still. they have
Okay.
a safe floor. I think they have a safe floor. As much as people are saying that it's a shootout, they could force a couple fumbles, get a couple sacks to help get their points back
Mhm.
up.
What do you think, Ben?
Agreed with both.
I think a big point to make here is you don't want to have two defenses on your roster, at a time like this. And on top of that, you're just going to have to take some, there's going to be some days where your defense just doesn't do great. And if you got the Ravens defense, just eat it. That's how I kind of feel. All right, let's see. And I definitely don't drop the Ravens, right? You guys wouldn't drop the Ravens defense.
No.
I mean, their schedule looks other than this game to Monday.
Easiest schedule in the league.
Yeah. Okay, Jacob Piccolo, thank you for joining, brother. I hope you're still watching.
Yep, got that Chiefs jersey on in the photo I see, or Chiefs t-shirt in the photo I see.
If that's him, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, yeah, or it could be his. Like he might be the one in the middle, but either way, it looks like maybe a Chiefs family.
Yeah, it's true. Start 3, Standard League. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Fournette, Jerick McKinnon, Antonio Gibson, OBJ. I don't know. This is a tough question. I think the only one for sure for me is Fournette, which is weird. Fournette, I like McKinnon and Helaire. OBJ can blow up. I'm going to go Fournette, CEH, and OBJ. Boom. What do you guys think? I'm going to go with Ben. You seem to be nodding your head. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was thinking. OBJ, Fournette, and Clyde.
You got any particular reason or just that's what feels good?
It feels right because I was kind of leaning towards Jerick instead of OBJ, but I don't think he's going to get as many carries as they're saying he's going to get. And OBJ, all he needs is 1 or 2 big plays and a touchdown.
Yeah,
and he could score more than all of them.
That's true.
So
I agree, but I see some skepticism on Jared's face.
Well, it's not really skepticism of what you guys are saying. It's just more like
you don't like OBJ.
I don't like a lot of those matchups for these guys this week. I would be inclined to go CEH, OBJ, McKinnon. Mixon struggled against the Browns defense last week, and I just don't think Antonio Gibson's getting the volume just yet. So I would take him out of it. So that makes it a little easier. It's down to 4. Denver did pretty well against Derrick Henry in week 1. I mean, all things considered, he had 31 carries. He went over 100 yards, but he didn't get a touchdown. And I mean, he was under 4 yards per carry. That was a 16-14 game. So, it was really more of, kind of him getting his points based on how much he was being fed. So just kind of like what Thomas H said about not trusting Tampa running backs. It's not that I don't trust Tampa running backs. It's that I don't trust Bruce Arians with running backs. And, week 1, he said, it's like Rojo's our guy. Like, well, yeah, I think you probably mean he's your guy for this week. And that was probably what it meant. But, I could just as easily see Rojo then coming back and getting the bulk of the carries this week, or them splitting it, and Denver doing well enough to kind of limit Fournette. So McKinnon, yeah, I think Jeff Wilson is going to get more than what, some people think he is. I think McKinnon may still be a little bit reliant on big play stuff, but it's the Giants defense. And I think he's still going to get the big plays. So I would go CEH, McKinnon, and OBJ, just because I don't really trust Bruce Arians. I've got to see at least one more week of him using Fournette, before I can really start to trust him more.
What do you think, AJ?
This is a complicated one, so I kind of went by process of elimination. Not Antonio Gibson. Don't trust the Washington offensive line. I would go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. As concerned as I am about him, he kind of fell back down to earth last week against the Chargers. He only had 38 rushing yards on 10 carries, but he's the Chiefs' main rushing attack. I think their offensive line is good enough that he'll be able to get some points, even though they're playing a tough defense. So I'd go CEH for sure. And then you get to the mess of Odell, Fournette, and McKinnon. I don't know what to do with the 49ers this week. They're a mess. I'd probably go Odell just because of the volume, I think. And then between McKinnon and Fournette, flip a coin.
Yeah.
I might go Fournette just because I think he's got more, maybe even more big game potential, but McKinnon is gonna have a nice.
Ben likes that.
He's got a decent matchup this week against a soft Giants defense, but I'll go Fournette with this one because I also have to start him in a league, so I need him to do well. So I will believe in the Fournette that believes in us.
Well, there's something to think about here with McKinnon is that they've been complaining about that field, and let me think. Has McKinnon ever been injured?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if they're smart, and it seems like their coach is smart there, and I'm stealing this from Pat Mayo. He says that he thinks that is it Cannon is taking over, or no? Who is the one taking over?
Jeff Wilson.
Wilson, yeah. He thinks this is going to be a huge Wilson day because
I could see that.
Why not use him? I mean, it's against the Jets, but who knows? Who knows?
When there's a toss-up between running backs, I like to think of myself as a linebacker and which one I would least like to tackle. And I don't want to tackle Fournette.
True.
He's a big man.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big man. Of course, we're talking about two guys. So Jerick McKinnon is not a big man, but both of them have brittle ankles. So not a year.
See, with McKinnon, you don't get the opportunity to tackle him because he's just so quick and shifty that he doesn't let you do it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad.
We'll see.
Not a bad counter. 710 in the house. Hey, what's up? 710. Pick 4. OBJ, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, AJ Green, and Djax. Good gracious. Between Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, I think I'm going CeeDee Lamb, which is weird. I like Keenan Allen. I love Stephon Diggs. Throw some OBJ on there. I'm going to give the nah wave to AJ Green for at least one more week. And Djax, it's kind of a roll of the dice. Jared, you seem to have an opinion on this.
I have an opinion on everything. It's not really true. I would go OBJ. I would actually go both Amari and CeeDee the way those not only the way they're getting volume, but the way the Seahawks looked against the pass last week. I mean, N'Keal Harry, there were plenty of targets for N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman both.
They both had 50 yards or more?
Julian had 179 yards, I think, last week.
And you think he would have sucked them all up, but I think you're right that Harry still had like 70 or something.
Yeah,
right?
he had like 75, 76, and I think he had double-digit targets. Of course, they were playing from behind, so but yeah, so the Chargers and Panthers, I just expect it to be so run heavy. I don't know how much volume Keenan will get in that. AJ Green, I'm just going to hold off on him for now. Same with Djax. So yeah, I like OBJ, Amari, and CeeDee. Plus, you kind of hedge your bets with the two of them, and you hope that it's not. You hope that it's not like a Gallup and Zeke day. Surely, at least one of them does well, and then Diggs is the fourth guy.
What do you think, Ben? You seem to you'd be nodding your head.
I would go OBJ, Amari Cooper, too obvious, and Stephon Diggs. And I think the fourth one is kind of a toss-up between AJ Green and CD. But I don't like playing two wide receivers on the same team, so I would lean AJ Green.
Interesting. AJ? Speaking of AJ Green?
Not Djax. That's the easiest one for me. I think I'd go Odell and Amari and Diggs as well. Those three. And between Green, Allen, and CD, that's tough. This could be a situation like Julio and Ridley where you got to start them both. This could be a Cooper CD situation there. I like the targets Allen and Green are getting for sure. That's the only reason why they're still hanging in this competition for me to choose. But I think I might go CD. I think this could be a Dak Prescott type game. But that's tough between Allen, Green, and CD. I would go Odell, Cooper, CD, Diggs. Let the Green experiment sit for one more week. I'm kind of chasing points a little bit here with CD Lamb in there, but that's what I would go.
I do think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Djax. He hasn't blown up yet. He is due for a fat game. It might not be this week. They're playing
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't
trust Wentz though. He's looked poor at best these first few weeks.
Well, I don't think it's his offensive line. I don't know if he's been having enough time, but
I think he's holding the ball too long. I think he's holding the ball too long. I think his offensive line actually has been giving him a decent amount of time. I think it's just Wentz not getting the ball out. I think Eagles are just a mess other than Sanders right now.
Okay. Seth Sconiers says, for the Jonathan Taylor, Carson Drake question, I have Russell Gage and Noah Fant.
Ooh.
Should I put them as flex over Carson? Over Carson or Drake? Maybe Fant over Drake for me, but what do you guys think?
Absolutely not.
What do you think? What do you think, Ben? The other two guys are absolutely not. You seem to be smiling. I'm hoping I get at least a vote here.
No.
Sorry. You guys are going to be sad when Fant blows up for 100 points. All right, let's go. Juvano says, thoughts on AJ Green going forward? So I did want to mention this, and the other thing is that I'm fading him today or this week, but I do think he just needs time to get back in sync and back. I do think he has the potential to be not necessarily his elite self, but he is getting the targets, and I do think that if he starts connecting with Joe Burrow, he's going to be a sweet little piece to have on your fantasy team. Jared, I know you have a lot of AJ Green. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got him for dirt cheap. He's getting the targets. He said this week, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. He was basically talking about how he felt like he needed another week to get back to where So from Thursday, there was a report that said Bengals wide receiver AJ Green said he's almost back in game shape, which is kind of funny to hear in a way that like you're into week 3 of the season and like I'm almost there, but I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess
that's the NFL, man. Come on.
Right. I don't know. Maybe we have to give him some slack because of his ankle and COVID and everything else. But anyway, he says, I'm still rusty. I'm still learning in the system, still trying to get comfortable with some of the routes, blah, blah, blah. So, it's hard to tell. Like, obviously, I mean, he got franchise tagged. So he's got to give reasons for why he's not performing because he's got a lot of money at stake in the off season. We'll see. But I mean, if you've got him, you probably got him dirt cheap like I did. I'm just probably not playing him until now. See, week 4, he's got Jacksonville. That's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough game to sit him for. So I hope he's telling the truth because I'm probably going to be starting him in week 4.
What do you think, Ben?
Last year, you heard a lot of AJ saying he was 99%. He was almost there every week. and that got kind of annoying. But a lot of people held him the entire year, and he didn't do anything.
So sounds like you had
I think
him on your bench.
I didn't, but
Okay.
I felt bad for the people who did. He, on the positive side of things, though, like Jared said, if he wants to get paid, he needs to put up some touchdowns or get some big yards and help that team out. I used to live in Cincinnati, so I'm kind of a Bengals fan still. But
sorry, man.
I don't know. I like him as a flex play the rest of the year, but it's going to just depend on the matchup.
What about you, AJ? What do you think?
See, we share a name, obviously, me and AJ. I loved him coming out of Georgia, especially. And fun fact, I just looked up to see how many injuries he's had dating back to college, and I'm pretty sure it's a count of 15 total injuries since 2009. 5 of them to his right foot. If he's finally healthy, that'd be nice. But the interesting thing is that he got 13 targets. But then again, when Burrow throws 61 times, everyone's going to get like 8 targets. I think he's an interesting, more like a watch to see over the next few weeks. I'm not starting him yet. I think this week is an interesting prove it week to figure out what he's going to do for the rest of the season.
I actually have him in my starting lineup in at least one place this week. We'll see. I mean, he's not going to get 0, or will he? I don't know. Flex, PPR, Russell Gage, or Corey Brown. Who's Corey Brown?
I think he means Corey Davis.
Oh.
I think.
Oh, yeah. AJ Brown, Corey Davis. Yeah. I'm going Corey Davis. I think Corey Davis against that terrible, no good secondary is going to feast. Gage, though, could see. Here's the thing: Gage could feast, but it could be Hunter Helmsley or whatever his name is over there, the tight end. So, what's his name?
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst. Hunter Helmsley Hurst. But I call him Triple H. I don't know why I do that, but. No. So, what do you guys think? Would you go Russell Gage or would you go Corey? What's his name? Corey Davis. We'll go with you, AJ, because you seem to be engaged in this question.
The Russell Gage experiment keeps working, and especially if Julio isn't going to play, I'm firing up my Russell Gage for sure. I like Corey Davis, but the fact he only got 5 targets and Tannehill's very, very good at spreading around the ball between him and Jonnu Smith, I think I'd go Russell Gage in this scenario. Especially if Julio's out, I might consider Davis going up against Minnesota. But if Julio's in, I might go Davis. But if Julio's out, easy Gage play.
By the way, thanks for joining us, Jeremy Lublansky. What do you think? Speaking of joining us, since Ben is joining us today, what do you think? Who would you keep in? Russell Gage or Corey? What's his name?
I don't know. I don't know much about Corey Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I've seen him catch a football once.
That was all of us for the 3 years we had him.
I'm not the best person to ask on this one.
Right.
Corey Davis was highly touted coming out of college. Everybody thought he's a big guy, fast. Everybody thought he was going to be a big, significant player in that offense, and he was dinged up for most of his career up until this point. And now he's playing with apparently the other guy who everybody thought was going to blow up this year. AJ Brown has been dinged up so far. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, it's crazy to think like Corey Davis was the 5th overall pick of the draft that he came out of. That was 2017. Yeah.
Wow.
He was the 5th overall pick of the draft. So yeah,
Wow.
big expectations for him that haven't worked out well. Yeah, I would I would, I guess, lean Gage here. I think it's tough because, yeah, you do have Davis with a much better matchup. But, last week he was back down to 3 catches on 5 targets, 36 yards. The only reason that it looks better than what it did is because he did manage to get a touchdown to be in double digits for the second straight week. But it's tough to, they've got Adam Humphries, they've got Jonnu. They're obviously going to lean on Henry. It's tough. Like even if you say he's the number 1 wide receiver option in that league, in that passing offense with Brown out, that still might make him the 3rd passing option. Like even though he's the number 1 wide receiver option, Humphreys out of the slot is still getting more targets. Jonnu's getting his targets, and then Henry. So I would go Gage. Yeah.
The only thing is the Vikings, man. If they have anything left, it's in the middle. I think they could stop. Who did they play last week? The Vikings. Have they played any good tight ends? Okay.
No, they played. Yeah, that Mo Alley Cox was when he blew up on them last week.
Okay. Yeah, so this may be a Jonnu Smith game. I don't know though, man. Their secondary looks terrible. They might as well not put anyone out there. We'll see. Thomas, did everybody get? Yeah, everybody talked about that, right? Or AJ, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I said Gage if Julio's out.
Oh yeah, that's right. You the Gage lover. All right, now I would really like to. No, I mean, you are a big fan of Gage, right?
Yeah, I like Gage.
You called it from the beginning, from before the season started. I would really like to hear AJ go on record with a Bears Falcons prediction. Please.
You know what? We have a lot of questions. How about we finish with that? We have a lot of questions.
Okay.
I didn't even think about that this week. Yeah, it's the Bears Falcons rivalry for you guys. Yeah. You're right. That's a good one to end on. That'll be a good point to end on.
We'll end on that because guess what, guys? Fish is back.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Fish.
Thanks for joining us, Fish. Higbee or Goddard at tight end this week? Fish wants to know. You know me, I hate Higbee. I think he's an imposter for last week. I am a huge Goddard fan. I am firing up all my Goddard this week. Although I also have suddenly come into some shares of what's his name? Who's the other tight end there?
Ertz.
And so now I'm having to find myself cheering for Ertz, unfortunately. But I think Goddard is the next big thing there. But there's not a lot of people to pass to, so they could both feast this week. I think Goddard is going to do great. What do you guys think? Let's go to you, AJ. You seem to be skeptical on this one.
Yeah, I lost a game last week because I started Goddard and not Gesicki. So yeah, I'm a little bit salty right now. But Higbee had his magical game last week, to which when he scored his 3rd touchdown, I think I laughed out loud because I was just so shocked that he actually blew up finally. I might go with the hot hand in Higbee here, maybe against Buffalo, especially if Tre'Davious White and the Bills secondary is going to be locking down in their wide receivers. So I'm not that off on Higbee. Goddard, it's just, Ertz is still there, and that worries me. So I would probably be more inclined to go Higbee, even though he's not getting as many targets as Goddard's been getting. The Bills, keep in mind, last week did just give up a whole bunch of points to Mike Gesicki, 130 yards. I'm starting up Higbee.
Yeah, that was. Oh. Well, Buddha disappeared for a moment. That was what I was going to say was you look at what Gesicki did to him last week, 11 targets, 8 catches, 130 yards and a touchdown. Now they did like really use him out of the slot a ton. So I don't know how much difference, that might make, but yeah, I think Buffalo is going to have an easier time with some of those other matchups, maybe since they've got Jalen Ramsey and they've got Aaron Donald to plug the middle. So I think, I don't expect Tyler Higbee to get 3 more touchdowns, but I would lean to him a little bit just because the Eagles offense just looks so dysfunctional right now. Apart from Miles Sanders did pretty well last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. What do you think, Ben?
I like to be risky sometimes and not always take the hot hand. So I would lean Goddard just because they're playing my Bengals and their Bengals are probably going to roast them. So that's what I would lean.
Mm.
Okay. Well, let's keep moving. We got a lot of questions. Rude Alva is back in town saying Joshua Kelly or Melvin Gordon, full PPR. Ooh, I'm going Joshua Kelly, but I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. What do you guys think? Go with you, Jared.
I'll make that one quick. Yeah, since we have a lot of questions. Kelly for me. Yeah, just the matchup, the Panthers. So,
what do you think, AJ?
I'll go
Same.
Gordon.
Oh, really?
Gordon?
Really?
All right. So
I'm
we
not
got
sold on Kelly yet, but I could be totally wrong.
I do think that if you go by skill, Gordon is who you want to go with. It's just that defense. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Oh, Cayman says start them both.
I think if you look to the next one, I think he's talking about a different. He's going back to Higbee and Goddard. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I hate Higbee, so not starting him. Didn't start him last week. Not starting him this week. I'm trying to trade him. Nobody wants to. Everybody loves Goddard until I'm trying to trade him. I mean, everybody loves Higbee until I try to trade him. I don't know why nobody's biting at all. I can't trade him. I don't know why. Even after that big game. Okay, enough about me. Put one in flex. That's an interesting idea. Fish laughing his butt off. Okay. Can Ryan put up the same fantasy points he put up in week 1 against the Bears defense? Ooh, what do you think, AJ?
What is up with all the Bears Falcons questions today, man?
I don't know. Maybe a lot of Bears and Falcons fans in our listenership.
I think Ryan can. Ryan was one of my favorite quarterbacks, and unfortunately, everybody just jumped and took him like round 7 before I could this year. So I like Ryan a lot for the entire year. I worry about Gurley for the rest of the year. Now, statistically, apparently the Bears defense has supposedly been better against the pass than they have against the run, which is true. They got torched by Saquon to start, and also Adrian Peterson averaged like 8 yards a carry against them. And I think this is probably the game where the Bears come crashing back down to earth and realize, hey, when we face a team with a consistently good offense, we're going to struggle. So despite the fact that Kyle Fuller and Eddie Jackson are going to be in that back line, I like Ryan. I think he's probably going to be one of the most consistent quarterbacks this year.
Okay, I like that.
The Falcons got embarrassed last week.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go all out on offense.
Yep.
Have they won a game yet?
Nope.
They're 2-0. They're 0-2. Wow.
They should have won last week.
Yeah, they really should have. We talked a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, what do you think, man?
I have to go back and look and see what did Ryan put up in week 1?
20, I think, and 28 week 2.
Yeah, I had Matt Ryan on more teams last year, and you kind of didn't know. There were some matchups, even home matchups, where he should have done pretty well, and he didn't. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that, there's a game here and there that he doesn't do what he's supposed to do.
Against the Bears, though? I mean, is that really that bad of a defense?
That bad or that good? I mean,
yeah. Well, is it that worrisome of a defense?
No, I don't think they're that worrisome. But I mean, comparatively, like, what are the good defenses out there this year?
That's
I mean, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, even the Broncos did pretty well against Pittsburgh last week. So surprisingly on the road. So, it's kind of like some of these other positions we've talked about where it's like everybody seems to be kind of like, except for the outliers, like a Panthers or a Ravens or something like that, everybody just seems to be kind of like muddled around in the middle. I mean, I think you got to start Ryan, but you look at what the Bears have done against quarterbacks the first 2 weeks. Week 1, Stafford had 17 points, threw for 244 and 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones last week, had 8 points against them. He didn't play that well. Obviously, Ryan in that offense is much better. But I think you could end up seeing Ryan being closer to week 1 than what he was week 2 against the Cowboys, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Would you play Matt Ryan or Goff?
Oh, Ryan. Yeah, I wouldn't trust Goff.
Matt Ryan or Joe Burrow?
Ryan.
Shout it out.
Still Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah, I think Ryan's gonna have a good game. What do you, Ben? Did you get your 2 cents in? Would you
Yeah,
do
I think the
Matt
connection
Ryan?
between Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst,
Yeah.
and even Russell Gage, they have a connection. It seems like all those guys know their routes, and Ryan hasn't regressed any from last year. If anything, I think he's gotten a little bit better.
Yep.
I think it's their defense that has the biggest issues.
Yep.
So
Their
I like
defense-
Ryan this week a lot.
It's year 2 of Dirk Cutter being back as the offensive coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
and that usually makes a huge difference. Kyle Shanahan from year 1 to year 2 with the Falcons made a huge difference. Sometimes it ends up not making a difference. You get if the guy's not a bad or if a guy's not a good coordinator, some of these other guys, who was it? Was it Sarkisian that they had after Kyle Shanahan? Maybe, I can't remember, that it just never really clicked that well. So, but I think we're seeing in year 2 with Cutter that it's going to go pretty well with all the talent they've got there.
I agree. Well, see, I'm worried about Gurley. I wonder what he's going to do in this offense so far. We'll talk about him though. Do you think this is a big Gurley game? I mean, it could be a big Gurley game, don't you think?
I don't trust him. I mean, the percentage of snaps that he's been on so far, he's not really catching passes. He got a touchdown in week 1. You'd think 21 carries against Dallas, but I mean, he had no catches and he had no touchdowns. So despite having 21 carries, he had 6.1 points because he had 61 yards. So I do not like Gurley's outlook this year. I will say I'm not going to I probably couldn't get much of anything right now for him if I did try to trade him. But you look at coming up through half the season, 2 of the next 6 games will be against Carolina. He also gets Detroit in there. Minnesota's in there. So my plan for what I have with Gurley is probably to try to ride out through some of those games and then try to trade him.
True.
Agreed.
Good plan.
Everybody agrees? Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. We got lots of questions. Matt. Oh yeah, he's talking about Matt Ryan. Should I drop Swift or Josh Kelly? I'm thinking. You think yes, Ben? I'm thinking I would be careful just dropping Swift like that. But what do you think, Ben? Why? You're done with Swift, huh?
I don't like the Lions offense, and they don't really have that good of a schedule. And it seems like Jared's really high on Josh Kelly, so he's convinced me.
Well, Jared, what do you think?
I wonder who else he has.
Yeah.
If Yeah, I mean, gun to my head, probably. I guess if Swift is the worst player on your team, potentially, because the Lions' backfields are always just kind of muddled. You've got carry on. You don't know how long they're going to do this whole Adrian Peterson thing. So right now, I mean, Swift is just. I mean, he's hardly getting any carries. He made his living in week 2 off of getting 5 receptions for 60 yards. But I would try to find somebody else. I would try to hang on to Swift if at all possible and drop, so yeah.
AJ?
I wouldn't yet. And I know I was super high on Swift coming into the year, and I will stand by that because I was not aware that the Lions were going to decide to get Father Time, Adrian Peterson, in free agency. So he's actually been a bigger force in the passing game. He led the Lions in catches last week against Green Bay with 5. And I mean, yes, it is
and carries
out. He did last week.
I think
No, that was Carry On. Carry On had 8. He was third.
Okay.
So I think his rushing floor probably won't be as great, but I think he could develop into an Eckler type guy with Detroit, maybe. So I'd hang on to him for now.
I agree. But it would be tough. I have looked at him on many of my benches, and I keep looking at him.
If you wait another week, Josh Kelly's probably not going to be there.
That is true.
Yeah, he's probably not out there in a lot of them right now.
Yeah, that's true. So Battle Royale says, "Who's the new guy?" Well, that is Ben's Legends. Thank you, Caveman. And Caveman says, is this going to be a guest situation? Yeah. Every now and then we've got listeners and if you want to come on Caveman's at one point, let us know. We're going to have listeners on every now and then. But yeah, we love having new faces on every now and then and rewarding good listenership, which Thomas H., Caveman, you guys are all, Ryan, Battle Royale, you guys are all prime candidates to come on here, and as long as you have a decent enough connection, we'd love to have you on. Let's see, what do we got next? Did you want to say anything about that, Ben?
No, I just appreciate you guys allowing me to come on, and Rotor Hackers is the best. You guys have real analysis. You don't really spice it up. You tell people how you feel, and you're not selling anything like 99 out of 100 other broadcasts are. So I can tell you're real, and it's fun. That's what this is all about, is entertainment and having a good time with other people.
Well, 2 things I want to say. Number one is just on behalf of me and AJ, the 2 of us are really happy to have a third person who knows about fantasy football on here. So thank you for coming on. And then
come on.
There it is.
Judah's used to this. Hey, if he wasn't used to this by now, he would have kicked me out of here a long time ago. So, yeah, and the other
that's so funny.
There you go.
Yeah, see, there he is. Yeah, there it is. The other thing is, like, I do want to be clear though, like, if I have a chance to sell out, I'm immediately going to do it. Like, as soon as, like, and it doesn't even have to be that high of an offer. Just for all, like, any companies listening right now, just know that I can be bought.
That's right.
Jared's going to be gone next year.
Yeah.
All right. Thomas H says, so who gets the love in the Rams backfield this week? Henderson or Brown? It's going to be Henderson. Are you confident enough to start either of them? I'm starting Henderson everywhere. Or would you start someone like Dobbins or Antonio Gibson instead? And no, I will definitely be doing a lot of Henderson, and Dobbins is going to have to wait. I have a lot of Dobbins too, but I'm waiting on some Dobbins. And Antonio, I love Antonio too. So, okay, I see what he's doing. Here. These are some of my biggest. I don't know. I was a big supporter of all 3 of these guys all through the offseason, but looks like my Henderson shares are going to pay off earlier than I thought. What do you think, AJ?
I was able to grab Brown in a couple of leagues, and then of course, he immediately gets injured and ruined that for me. Gibson, I like to a point because he's playing in Washington, and so I'm not sure how I trust about that. The thing that worries me for all of them later down the line, especially the Rams backs, they get some really tough matchups later. This week, I don't think I'm confident enough to start either of them, if I'm being entirely honest. Dobbins is not the number one right now, and so I'm not confident enough in starting him because it could be him, it could be Ingram, I don't know. And then with Gibson, I might have liked him, but the Browns just completely locked up Joe Mixon last week. So I might go Henderson if I had to choose between one of these and then Gibson. Brown and Dobbins just too iffy for me right now.
Ben, what do you think?
I don't really have an opinion either way on this one, but I like being risky, so let's go Dobbins over all those guys.
All right. Interesting.
That's a bold pick. If you land on that, you're gonna look like a genius because it could happen. But that Ravens backfield is so tough to figure out right now.
I'm playing him in my season long or my home league.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I really think the Ravens Chiefs game is going to be really interesting. A lot of offense.
Yeah.
But could be a stalemate.
The Rams backfield, I do kind of agree with Judah. Henderson, after last week, I would assume they're going to still feed him somewhat.
He's playing a tough defense.
He is playing a tough defense. And I'm not sure yet if I like who's going to be my other flex in our league, in the Roto Listeners League. And my matchup with Judah, it might actually be Brown. I might still roll the dice on Brown as my last flex because N'Keal Harry, he's a little bit banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to play. So, and it would and there's no expectations here. Like Judah is so confident that it's going to be a Henderson game, like that. If it then ended up being a Malcolm Brown game, then it would just be too beautiful. So I still think that in a deeper league or something like that, you could play Brown, but I would be inclined to go probably Henderson, then maybe Gibson, and then probably Brown third.
Please play Brown, please. Please.
Now I'm more and more tempted now to do it, so I might.
Antonio Gibson all the way from Cademan. Fish says, are you buy low on Kenyon Drake right now, or do you think that he's going to be useful? It might be a good buy low time for Kenyon. I mean, I don't know if he can go much lower. And I have him in one league, and I am frustrated with him, so I'd be willing to trade him. What do you think, Jared?
I don't know where all the Kenyon Drake hate is coming from, but let's look at the first two games. So they played San Francisco in the first game. He had 16 carries for 60 yards. He did have a touchdown, and he had a couple of targets for 5 yards. I mean, San Francisco was pretty well at full speed that game. So for him to get 13.5 points is not bad. Week 2, he had 20 carries for 86 yards. And he had 2 catches for 9 yards. He just didn't get a touchdown. Touchdowns are going to come and go. He's getting volume. He's getting catches. Kenyon Drake's fine. He just coincidentally hasn't gotten touchdowns this week. So
for a second round pick, you think he's doing fine?
Yeah, because I mean, you're going to have all of these guys that in the middle of the season, they're going to have 2 games like this, where back to back, where they don't score a touchdown. He's getting volume. He's producing. It's just coincidental that at the start of the season, he just hasn't happened to get a touchdown. Well, last week, I mean, because he still got one in week 1 against a good 49ers defense. So to me, it's just the Kenyon Drake stuff is just way overblown.
So you definitely sell. You definitely buy him.
Oh yeah, yep.
Can I sell him to you? Let's see.
I had some.
AJ, I'll make you a deal,
Okay.
but you have to accept it now before this Sunday, okay?
Oh, okay. What's up?
I'll trade you McCaffrey for your Drake
Straight up, McCaffrey for
in the
Drake.
listener league.
Straight up, McCaffrey for Drake.
Yeah, after this Sunday, but you can't. After he blows up the Sunday, you can't go back and be like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that anymore."
Right, straight up, just McCaffrey for Drake.
Sure.
I was not expecting this today. I'll have you know. How long do I have to think about that?
Sunday at 3:25.
Sunday at 3:25. All right, I'll get back to maybe by the end of the episode. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty huge. You guys saw it here. Big news on the Listener League. McCaffrey for Drake. Interesting.
It is interesting. I offered a guy. See, someone offered me. I don't remember how the offers went, but I think I offered like Eckler for McCaffrey in a league to see if the guy would, because I've got like a lot of running back depth in that one where I could afford to lose him or afford to lose. So leagues where I've got a lot of depth and I can offer like a second round pick for McCaffrey, I'm willing to do it. So I think it could make some sense based on your situation, but you know, you're also taking a risk there too that McCaffrey ends up being out a full 6 weeks, that he comes back and re-injures it. So yeah, there's risk for both parties.
Oh, he'll be fine.
It's a fun deal.
He might. Cademan agrees with you guys that Kenyon Drake is underrated. Look, I think he's great skill wise. It's just every year we see this from him. He's never had, I don't think he's ever had more than like 5 good games in any season. Now, he's had a lot of different offenses and he's had a lot of different situations with injury and stuff like that. It's just, I just have a weird feeling about Kenyon Drake.
Well, the thing with Kenyon is that things have been like up and down at them since forever, because Miami, he'd have great games, but they cycled out running backs every 2 weeks. And then, of course, you get to Arizona last year. He had a great 5 weeks to end the year, but now he started off against 2 tough defenses. But now he's got 3 beautiful matchups in the upcoming weeks. So, yeah, I'm with Cademan. Drake's underrated.
Anybody else want to tune in? Say something about that? Then we'll move on.
He's got more.
I'll say it's a very fair trade.
Yep.
Because when McCaffrey comes back, he could be number 1 again.
True.
You know, so, and Drake could fall off a cliff. So I'm taking a huge gamble.
Trade.
I think it's more fair for you, but I like the risk.
Jared, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, I mean, you know, if we're really looking for players that have disappointed, you know, like Mixon should be getting way more dislike than him. Mark Ingram, even though again Drake was a second round pick, Ingram was maybe 4th or 5th. Gurley, I think there's just a lot of guys that would have to come before, in my mind, Kenyon Drake. You know, in terms of disappointments.
We'll see. AJ, let's work out that trade for Newton. Okay. Jeremy Leblansky, thanks for having me. Sorry, I meant Davis. Oh, yeah. We get that. I was just giving you a hard time. Seth Sconiers, you guys can just call me Seth. My name is French and it is really weird. But for my question, Kyler, am I saying it wrong? I'm sorry, Seth. Sconier, maybe. I don't know. Okay. But for my Tyler or Big Ben, I mean Kyler, sorry. Kyler or Big Ben. I don't know. I definitely go Kyler, but Big Ben has big potential. AJ, you seem to be chomping at the bit for some Kyler love.
Oh, absolutely. You guys know I've loved Kyler the entire year. And after the first 2 performances he's put up, he's got the running game. He and Hopkins have a great connection so far. This is easy Kyler Murray for me, especially that he's playing Detroit, who have no defense this week. easy Detroit play. That one is a no-brainer for me.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Jared?
Kyler.
You seem to be nodding.
Same. I mean, Ben's a good value to have as a, if you didn't get an elite quarterback, he's, I think, still inside top 10. But if you've got Kyler, if you've got one of those guys like Kyler, Dak, Russell Wilson, Mahomes, Jackson, maybe even Cam, like you just roll them out. I think they are like guys that I would start every week. So
Ben, you agree?
Agreed.
I just traded Kyler for Chubb, actually.
Interesting.
I've got Dak in that league.
You got Chubb back in exchange for Kyler?
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, I was happy with it. All right, Seth Sconier, or I'm sorry, I'll just call you Seth. Mike says
maybe he can write it phonetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll
Mike
know.
Evans or CeeDee Lamb or Russell Gage. Gonna have to go with Mike Evans on this. But what do you guys think? Pretty easy.
Evans.
Easy, Mike Evans.
Brady to Evans.
Yep.
I mean, the floor isn't really that low, and the ceiling is pretty high for that one. As opposed to the other ones, you got highish ceilings, but the floors are low for both of those other two. Rude says 49ers defense or Titans defense. I think I'm going to go with the Titans actually here. What do you guys think? I could see are they playing the Jets? I could see them
Giants this week, I think. 49ers.
Giants.
49ers, Giants.
49ers
Titans,
playing the Giants.
Vikings.
Yep.
I could see the Giants winning this one.
I think the 49ers defense is droppable.
Wow.
I mean, their defensive line is gone. I mean, the entire defensive line from last year
Literally.
is gone. They traded DeForest Buckner, and then Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas both tore their ACLs, and then D Ford, I forget what happened to him, but he's hurt. Their D line is gone. So, obviously they've still got some other talented players, but that was really what made that team. And through the first 2 weeks, what you would think, would be at least one easy matchup against the Jets. If I can find what they've done here. Oh, I'm in our league. I was trying to search for them in our league. We don't have defenses. Though,
Yep, I've done that.
I was like, why are they not coming up? Okay, so back-to-back weeks. The Cardinals, you can forgive them for not really putting up a lot of points. I mean, the Cardinals have a good, or you can forgive the 49ers defense for not putting up a lot of points. But against the Jets, they had one sack, no turnovers or anything. So, I mean, in a pinch, they've got a couple of games coming up. They've got the Giants that are not a great offense. They've got the Eagles. So they've got a couple of games here coming up, but that maybe you would want to hang on to them for. But apart from that, it quickly gets to a point of the season where I think there's a lot of other options that are better out there.
Interesting.
Would you rather have the Saints or the 49ers defense?
Ooh.
I mean,
That's a good question.
Saints didn't
I
even
think I'd
look
rather have a Saints.
that great against. I said the Saints didn't even look that great against Vegas. They gave up 34 points. I guess I would rather have the Saints. I don't know how much I'd want to have either one of those. I think I might at that point, like if you don't have a keep defense like a Ravens or a Steelers or something, you might just be better off just rotating and not really hang on to any one.
All right. Well, we got a call out here. Caveman is saying I could have my first win in the listener league against Ben's Legend.
Not this week.
Uh-oh.
No.
Going down, buddy.
Going down. What is your response to that, Ben?
Well, I actually knew I was playing him a few days ago, so I picked up. Who did I pick up? Jeff Wilson, because I saw that he had McCaffrey, or no, not McCaffrey. He had who did he have that went down?
Saquon, I think.
Yeah, he had Barkley. So I looked on the waiver wire for any running backs that I wouldn't want to play against, and Jeff Wilson was available, so I took him.
Smart.
And now there's nothing on the waiver wire as far as running backs.
Nice.
So the only running back he has is Royce Freeman, and good luck with that.
Ouch.
Wow, shots fired. Yeah, if I had to place like a betting line on this, I think I'd give the edge to Ben here, if I'm being honest. I'm looking at this matchup. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a good one to watch. All right. Ray Gibson says Fournette and Taylor. Oh, that was in response to a different one. Okay, Rob S. Thanks for tuning in. Says about to trade Watson, Connor, Michael Thomas, and Brandon Cooks for Kyler Murray, Godwin, and Gibson. You're getting Kyler Murray, Godwin, and Gibson?
No.
I'd hold on to Michael
Too
Thomas.
much.
Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's like Kyler as good of a quarterback as he is, but unless you're just completely stacked at running back where you've got like, 3 elite running backs, even then, like Thomas is probably going to be a back in a week. I couldn't do that deal. I'd hang on to your guys.
What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I've been souring more and more on Watson, I think, for sure. But giving up Connor and Michael Thomas is still a number one, and Godwin's going to be splitting receptions with Evans especially, and Scotty Miller, who came out of nowhere this year. And giving up Connor and Thomas and Gibson's going to have a rough time with that Washington O-line. It's just, it gives me a bad feeling. If you weren't giving away maybe Cooks or Connor in this, I might feel better about it, but you're giving away 4, and basically you're getting this for Murray and Godwin. I'm not a fan of it, I'm going to be honest.
Ben, what do you
I'm
think?
with AJ on this one.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody asked me, Michael Thomas, even, as he's injured, Michael Thomas for Murray, I'd say no. Thank you. I'll pick up somebody off the waiver wire as far as and then Godwin. Yeah, you guys made all of my points for me, so I'd say think twice about that, Rob S. Steven 710 says 710. You're also a candidate. Come on, if you want, give us let us know. I'll offer Eckler for CMC. So is this towards AJ?
We have a bidding war right now.
Or no, so who has CMC? Is it you, Ben?
Ben, yeah.
Me, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eckler,
Okay.
and
So
throw in a
offering
random
Eckler.
wide receiver. Well, let me check out your team. I'll see what we can do.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let that go for the listener league. Henderson or Kelly? That's an interesting question. I think I'd go Kelly for the matchup, but what do you guys think?
Kelly.
Zach or Rabin, thanks for joining us. Rabin.
Easy Kelly.
Easy Kelly.
As soon as I saw this question, I was like, Kelly, Carolina, done. Kelly.
What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly. Okay. Ben's still looking at his trade offer there. What do you think, though? And Henderson or Kelly?
I don't think he heard you. Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, Kelly.
Okay. All right, Thomas H, AJ, Ben, and Jared. Anyone want to trade for Josh Allen? I need an RB. What about me?
Well, who's your quarterback?
I probably
in the listener
don't have
league if you gotta
anyone
be
that you would want.
Oh, he's not offering it to you, Judah, because you've got Lamar in that league.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you guys want to? You guys can talk to him about it.
Hmm.
Listener League affairs. Let's keep that to the chat. We don't have to broadcast that. All right. Car Russian. So
Rashanian.
Car says Rushanian. Car Rushanian says PPR flex, Julian Edelman, John Brown, or Mike Davis.
Ooh.
Going with Julian Edelman, hoping for another just like great connection time with Cam. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it looks
Uh-oh.
like Cam and Edelman have something going on, so
Mm-hmm.
I'd stick with it.
It's hard to know what Mike Davis is going to look like in his first full. I mean, last week he got tons of. He got like 8 catches just in garbage work. But I don't know. It's still kind of iffy for me with seeing what he gets this first week against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
John Brown, I like. I feel like all three of these guys are on about the same level. I think if you made a compelling case for why you should start almost any one of them, at least Edelman or Davis, I could get on board with it. But yeah, I would maybe go Edelman and hope that he keeps getting fed like last week.
Yeah, same. Brown is injured. He's hobbled this week. I think he had a foot injury this week. Mike Davis is interesting, but like Jared said, Chargers. And Julian Edelman, like I had said a long time ago, he was one of my favorite late round pickups this year. And after last week, that makes me just even more even happier. And this is PPR. If Edelman's going to get 8 catches a game, he's going to be an easy stardom. I go Edelman.
Same with you, Ben?
Agreed.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up, guys. It's been way over 2 hours. And Rob says, great advice, fellas. Already
Thanks,
subscribed.
man.
Yes, thanks for the subscription. Math Quest says, this is interesting live fantasy football. It's not very interesting for people that aren't in the league. Maybe it is. But we want to end with the last.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That's right. AJ, we've got to get his
AJ,
prediction.
Yeah.
That's not it. Where is it? But anyways, the question is, he wants you to go on Thomas. Where is that? It's so many questions this time. I can't find it.
Hang on. It's all the way back up at 12:56.
Okay. Okay, so AJ Herschel, the kid, we need you to go on record.
Yep.
Make a prediction.
Okay. So I love the Bears. Y'all know this. They're my team. And I have a lot of confidence in Montgomery, especially. Not sure how I feel about Trubisky yet. He's played 3 great quarters out of 8. So that does not make me very confident. I think the Falcons probably take this game maybe 27-21. I think something like that. Maybe 34-28 if it goes a little higher. I'll say 27-21. That's my prediction right now. I think the Falcons offense is going to be, I think their passing is going to have a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the game, but I think they'll find their rhythm, especially in the second half. Bears offense is probably going to play one good quarter. And look, the Falcons right now, they're also a Lions defense in the sense that they choke in the second half, but it's the offensive differences between them. I think it's going to give the Falcons the edge. I give the Falcons the edge in this game. I'll say 31-27. That's going to be my prediction for this game.
How does your prediction change if the Falcons get out to a 20-point lead? Because that's like the sign that the Bears have won the game. Like the Falcons have no hope when they have a 20-point lead.
True. At that point, I don't know.
All right.
I think they got so embarrassed that they're not going to let that happen again. At least this week.
Yeah, at least this week. Yeah, that's 3 weeks down the road. But I think it'd be great to just see I think it'd be great to see how like in fantasy when you're watching the matchups and the points, like your percentage of winning, like it shows like what's left to play and how much you're up by and what your chances are of winning. Like with the Falcons having like a 23-point lead, their chances of winning would be like 4% or something, So I think it'd be great to see that just in a metric.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ben. We
Yeah.
look forward to maybe having
Thank
you
you
on
for
again
having
at
me,
some
guys.
point.
Oh, of course.
And
lot
like
of
we
fun.
said, we'd like to have more of our listeners on. So stay tuned. We'll probably have you on at some other point. But for now, we're going to say goodbye and good luck on the games tomorrow. Let's set up some kind of thing where we can get some, whether it be a Discord or something where we can chat with each other publicly. We'll see. But anyways, good luck everybody tomorrow. Have fun watching the games.
See y'all later.